I want to thank Mayor Braca for joining us. He comes here now in a third year to grace our stage, and we're really fortunate to hear the voice of Newark at this conclave, now the third annual Newark Summit. And he comes here in the wake of a very exuberant and provocative gubernatorial campaign, surprised a lot of people, and provoked a lot of issues in that campaign that I think are pertinent to some of the things we're going to talk about today. So I'm excited. I hope I can ask some questions that are important to you. As we were sitting on the side, it became apparent to me that the last panel kind of usurped a lot of questions that I think the mayor is going to want to be responsive to. So I'm going to allow him to do that. But I'm going to kick it off with a kind of threshold question, Mayor, if that's okay. It's a vision question. Newark, some would say Newark is in the midst of a second wave of major development. What does success look like to you from where you sit in 5, in 10 years? Does success relate to a tax base growth? Does it relate to a population growth? Is success defined by home ownership rates? Is success defined by wealth creation for longtime residents? How do you define that?
I think some people, and I think what's problematic, and I want to address some of the stuff that was said.
It's okay. I wouldn't want to answer that question
I do, because some of these people have no idea what they're talking about. But some people measure success by how high the richest people in our society can go. And we kind of measure success by how well we take care of those who need it the most, right? And the idea is that we have to stabilize the floor. It doesn't make sense to have a foundation that's weak because you can't build on that. And so, success to me looks like housing that's affordable. It looks like opportunities for people, creating wealth for individuals, ownership for folks in our community. We want to expand the tax base. We want to grow the tax base. We want to be able to allow people to afford homes, but we also want to increase people's wealth, right? A lot of times we talk about affordable housing, we refuse to talk about raises in wages and access to wealth. Because when we talk about affordability, people assign specific people to affordable housing, right? We want to be able to talk about it in a broad range of ways. So I look at success in Newark as a way to continue what we've been doing and at the same time pull everybody along with us. And that's a slower process than Jersey City or some places like that, right? Because we could just go straight into wealth creation and luxury full speed ahead. But it's a slower process to try to, maneuver in such a way to pull people along and get them to where we're going. I like to also welcome the guy Rugby to New Jersey and to Newark and thank him for being in our city. But for the most part, just to answer his question, the bridge is moving. They're doing environmental work and abatements right now. It should be finished prayerfully in 2029. So that project is moving forward. There is a visioning around Mulberry Commons of a bunch of landowners who have got together with the help of Prudential and some other folks to begin to envision what this area downtown will look like around Mulberry Commons. That's a project that almost took 10 years to get done. We came and got it done almost immediately, Mulberry Commons, that area. You're talking about New Jersey Transit, Amtrak, the state, all these folks involved in it. That's a difficult group to maneuver and move. With the help of late Congressman Donald Payne Jr., we were able to do a lot of that work. And so NJ Transit and Amtrak is fully on board by God's grace, right? And now we're really trying to get through the technical part of it so we can actually begin to see that bridge being built, and it will be built. By the time I get out of here, the bridge will be finished.
So we've heard it here. We've heard it here. The bridge will be built, and it'll be built without congestion pricing, right? So Mayor, let me ask you this. You've defined success and your vision, I thought quite eloquently. Based on your measure of success, do you think we're, as a city, overperforming or underperforming? We're the state's largest city. And in answer to that question, why? If we're underperforming, why? If we are overperforming, tell us.
Well, I think we're punching above our weight. but we're certainly not performing in the way that we should be, right? And so I would say, yeah, we're underperforming. So the reality is, you're talking about a city where the average income is about $37,000, $38,000 a year, right? And to build the kind of affordable housing that's necessary, we need to drop the area median income below 40% to 30%, right? To kind of get everybody an opportunity to be a part of what's going on. But that's hard to pencil. And it takes a lot of subsidy in order to get those things accomplished, especially with the cost of building in New Jersey being so high. And the tariffs and all this extra stuff that's being added to it makes it incredibly difficult to do that. So when I say we're punching above our weight, we're doing a lot with very little, right? We just announced a program where we are going to take some of the city's property and begin to partner with small private developers to begin to build more affordable housing quicker. We're going to de-restrict the property for 15 years, and we're going to go in with them almost up to half of what the building construction would cost to build the project, because we are committed to building more and more affordable housing in this city. And we're still inviting businesses to this city, and they're coming. As certain folks on the last panel suggested, a lot of people are coming, and we're giving them opportunity to be in and around our city, and a lot of black and brown businesses and women businesses at the same time.
So you hit the chord on affordable housing. In fact, I think when I look back on that gubernatorial campaign, you defined that as a premier issue, affordability and affordable housing in particular. And Newark remains central to that debate, and it's central to the affordable housing challenges, if you will. Now, Newark has approved significant residential development, yet affordability remains acute. Now, is the core problem, in your view, supply? Is it income inequality? Is it financing constraints on developers? Is it a combination of those? How do you see it from your vantage point?
It's all of the above.
Yeah.
We need infusion of serious capital in affordable housing. Federal capital, state capital. We need as much as we can. And we have to stop doing it project by project by project. And that's really how the state is doing it. And this is how they've been doing it for a long time. We do it building by building. So you got all these people competing for 9% tax credits, 4% tax credits, LIHTC. We're competing for these subsidies because you actually need the subsidy to do affordability. And you have to have a deeper subsidy if you want to go deeper in affordability, right? And so the rents in Newark are growing faster than any place else because the development is happening fast and nobody's wages are increasing at the same rate as the development is taking place. So that gap is growing. And in order to kind of make that gap smaller, we have to increase people's wealth, or we have to put an infusion of capital in these areas. So we have to identify swaths of land in the city. I would say areas like promised neighborhoods or tax zones that we begin to create and infuse capital to develop affordable housing, but also tech startups. Also, opportunities for job creation and development at the same time. Because when you develop housing, you also have to develop employment at the same time.
Now, there's some in the developer community, and this is a question I think that emanates from them, that believes that asks the question, I should say, are these inclusionary zoning and affordability standards, are they properly calibrated, or do they slow the risk of production by virtue of a higher interest environment or an unwillingness to take the risk when things can't pencil out?
Well, all you got to do is look at what's happening. 20% affordability in inclusionary zoning has not slowed development down in Newark at all. When we first talked about it, people said, oh, if you do that, it's going to be a problem. Now the state is requiring anybody that gets these tax credits to have 20% affordability in all of their property. And this started because of Newark, really because of the Equitable Growth Commission that we started in Newark, meeting with us, talking about creating inclusionary zoning that we did in Newark. Now the state has begun to use that on all of its, as a model to begin to create affordability around the state. That's good, but it's not enough.
The taking it from there, you alluded to focusing in on community-based development, and this question really goes to that. What is your administration doing for the black and the brown community by way of home ownership as opposed to rental?
Well, but with the help of groups like the Urban League, who I see out here, and Vivian, and the work that she's doing with building homes and selling them to residents in our community for very, very, very low rates, creating affordability at the same time, us using Section 8 vouchers and turning those vouchers into home ownership at the same time. We're now building condos, beginning to build condos, affordable condos on Halsey Street in the city of Newark. The project that we're doing with the houses in the city, where the city is going to sell the house for $100, give you a 5-year tax abatement, and help you with up to 50% of construction costs to a home you own, but you have to rent it at affordable rates, 2- and 3-family homes, to Newark residents at 50% or below the area median income.
And that home ownership contributes to the kind of stability that you're looking for in those kinds of neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Now, tax policy and pilots and fiscal strategies, those are near and dear to the developer's heart. So I have some questions about that. Newark has historically relied on long-term tax abatements, pilots. Is that still a necessary tool in your mind, or should the city be transitioning away from them?
Well, I don't think we're there yet. We pray that one day we are there. We're just not there yet because of the cost of building and our inability to get the rents that people are trying to get. Look, at a place like Jersey City, it should be easy. The rents that they're getting, they should be able to develop affordable housing in the city. What it will mean is that the developers will get less in their development fee. It means that some of the profit that they make has to be put back into the project to be able to create affordability. We need tax abatements in our city in order to subsidize the rents that we're asking for in the city of Newark because of the cost of building here and what the market bears out for what people will get for rents in the city of Newark.
Many folks, you've been in the mayor so long, many folks forget your legacy as an educator, and you come out as a teacher and high school principal. How do you balance incentivizing development with the needs of the Newark Public Schools, which don't benefit directly from pilot revenue?
Yeah, well, in Newark, we do have a local ordinance that says that percentage of the money from the tax abatement has to go to Newark Public Schools. Honestly, that number should increase, and the state should follow that and begin to say that in all tax abatements, there should be a percentage of those dollars that go to the public school system, particularly in New Jersey, because public schools drive up the taxes of local residents. So yeah, I agree with that.
One of the big debates that's beginning to rage on a state level, and we saw a little bit of it in the context of the incentives that were given to the Prudential Center recently, has to do with just application and who are getting incentives and where they land. Are there reforms that you would support to create more predictability, more transparency in how incentives are granted?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that not only do we need to create more transparency, I think that we really need to move away from these project-based kind of incentives that go on. We benefit from them, I'm going to tell you. Newark, the problem is there's only a few cities that can benefit, and there's only a few developers that can actually get it, right? So this is not really a diverse program where a whole bunch of people can get these tax credits and a whole bunch of cities can benefit from them. It just doesn't exist that way. They're made for a few developers and for a few cities. That's why we should move away from just project-based kind of incentives and begin to bring incentives into areas, like areas around transit, areas where we want to create tech startups and tech hubs and create affordability. If we took from Broad Street, where Broad Street Station is, from there moved all the way down to Orange Street, all the way down and over, that whole area, which needs some investment because there's a lot of abandoned property, abandoned buildings, vacant property, that if we invested money in that area for tech startups, if we took the payroll taxes, the parking taxes, the state taxes, and began to bundle those things and put them back into the project to create a certain amount of affordable units, thousands of affordable units, and tech startups and other kind of opportunities in that community, which incentivizes developers to come in, but at the same time force them to partner with local developers at the same time. Partner with local black and brown developers, partner with local nonprofits to build out the community in the area, not just project by project by project, which takes 30, 40, 50 years to get finished.
I'm going to get to that in a bit because there are some sobering statistics about some developments that are occurring in the city that I'd like to ask you about. But before I do, one of the central issues that you've spoken about has to do with quality of life and public safety. And those are very important to the developer community, to the community at large, everybody that lives here, retail investment, residential investment. Now, how do you respond to the investor who says, who will still cite public safety concerns as a deterrent to large-scale commercial development here in Newark?
Well,
Are those legitimate? Are those concerns legitimate?
Absolutely not. I think people who are still leaning on that are people who are stuck in the past. The reality is that Newark, we ended last year with the lowest violent crime rate than we had since 1953, right? So the reality is if you're still talking about that, you're stuck in the past. Do we have problems? Absolutely. Do things still happen? Sure. I mean, like in most American cities, things are going to happen. But the way we respond and the ecosystem that we've created helps to reduce the probability that those things will happen, and it gives us an opportunity to respond in such a way that restores public health and public trust.
I'm going to move on to infrastructure for a bit. Now, it's been a hot debate, our Hudson River Tunnel. We had a court case on Friday that the president was enjoined from withholding funds. Newark's future is deeply tied to New Jersey Transit, to the Gateway Tunnel, and to regional rail structure. What projects do you think are existential for the city that are must-haves?
Well, since we're talking about the Gateway Tunnel, I think that is not just important for Newark, it's important for the entire region. It's really like bizarre, and that's a nice word for it, to tell people that we're going to stop funding this tunnel if you don't put my name on Penn Station. It's like narcissism to the nth degree.
I was asking myself how William Penn would feel about the chain. We all know that William Penn was the namesake for.
Well, I mean, this guy has no end to his foolishness. But at the end of the day, I think that Penn Station itself needs to be redeveloped, period, full stop. I think that the state makes a mistake not investing in Penn Station. They made them, I think when Christie invested in the station in Harrison, you could see what happened to that whole area just by investing in transit, period, right? So all of the money that they're using to expand the highway, they should take that money away from that, invest it in transit, let Penn Station be first, right? Begin to build on top of Penn Station. It should be commercial businesses in there. It should look better. It should be a part of the redevelopment effort in this area. And not just a project, it should be that in that whole community that's in and around Penn Station.
The business climate and people's susceptibility to developing here. You're constantly confronted with the question, why Jersey City, why Hoboken, why is it that things are happening there? Some of the sobering statistics, we have delays in what's happening with the Skyline Tower IDT building, that's going to market. The Penn Plaza project is going to market. 900 Broad Street is going to market. There's a lull in what's happening at Newark Bears, Mulberry Street, those challenges, and the naysayers cite to those. What's your answer to the naysayers? Why are those not emblematic of where the city's going?
I was listening to Saraceno speak, and he was right on the money with most of that. I mean, at the end of the day, some of that stuff is very difficult to pencil to those conversion projects because there is no space. No market really for those kind of buildings that were office towers, like that are being converted now. It's very difficult to get those buildings to be converted, to put them on the market. The good thing is that right next to Whole Foods, they're already almost finished with that project, which was a difficult project to do. So I appreciate the work that they're doing there. And then ultimately, what I spoke about earlier, some of the places that you mentioned fit in the area where we need a huge infusion of cash, of capital in those areas to make development more affordable and easier for folks to do in those communities.
One of the things Saraceno said that I know is of interest to a lot of people in this room has to do with the regulatory or bureaucratic challenges. And one of the things that he floated was the idea of self-certification as a means to accelerate. And we were talking off stage, John and I, about how we have models out there like the LSRP program or whatever. Do you have thoughts about what you would do to reform the bureaucracy? Are there things on the table? We know that Deputy Mayor Ladd has been extraordinary in trying to move that process along generally. But what's in your head about how does it make it more user-friendly to develop here in the city?
Well, that's already possible, so people can do that now. They can self-certify or get their buildings inspected on their own, but they do have to be signed off by the city, and I wouldn't take that part of it out because you don't want to deregulate it to a point where it becomes unsafe, right? The city still has to have some responsibility and overseeing what's happening so people don't begin to cut corners because they're trying to make more money, right? And put everybody's safety at risk. Public health is the first thing that we should be concerned about. So I think the city still needs to sign off. I think part of the issue is a lot of these other places have had a head start. Newark is still trying to catch up with the level of development that's happening. And what people fail to see and understand that downtown is not the only place in Newark that's being developed, right? And so if you go around the city, almost on every major corridor, you'll see development happening. All this infill development, thanks to a lot of the small black and brown developers in this community, because we changed the zoning ordinance, are now developing all over the city as of right. It's happening everywhere, which puts more stress on the building department, on the permits department, on everybody, which means because we need more people, we need more staff, we have to grow it commensurate with the level of development that's happening in the city.
I was speaking for a number of people that I represent. They ask themselves if New York can do a self-certification process and doesn't create the safety concerns, they would ask that you take a hard look at that because of the history and success of the LSRP program and other programs. So I'm here pitching for them a little bit. I'm going to ask one last question, then I'm going to open it up, and what was that? Pay me for that? Always. Okay. So what legacy do you want to leave in Newark's built environment? What legacy do you want to leave in Newark's built environment when you leave this office and move on to others?
Well, we've effectively begun to change the city's skyline altogether. All of the things that are happening downtown are incredible, right? What we want to do is attach the rest of the community to downtown, whether it's through the bridge that we're creating, or through free transportation that's bringing people downtown in and around our community to make the downtown a central marketplace in the city. Not a new place for folks to come and use as a bedroom community, but a central marketplace where people in the city can enjoy the multicultural community that lives and breathes in the city of Newark, and invite more people to be a part of that mosaic that we're creating in the downtown area. Newark is basically, and always has been, almost kind of segregated in its cities and neighborhoods. We want to create an opportunity for these neighborhoods to come together in a downtown community full of culture and art and exchange and fellowship, right? And we do that through what's going on in the New Jersey Performing Arts Center. We do that through what's happening at the museum, through the expansion of the library, through what we're going to do at Mulberry Commons. We create an area in our city that's inviting for everybody in every ward and every neighborhood.
Great. So we have about 5 minutes on my watch that I'll entertain 2, maybe 3 questions, depending on what they are. I don't know if there's a mic being distributed, but I'd ask you to stand up, identify yourself, and ask your question, if there are any. Well, you were very comprehensive. You must have answered every question, Mayor. It looks like not one question. Well, I'm going to thank you, Mayor. I think the audience should thank the mayor as well. I don't have any further questions. If there are any pearls of wisdom that you'd like to leave us with, Mayor, now that you know, a politician with 4 minutes left doesn't squander it.
I would only do this with this guy, man. You know that. So you give me last word?
Last word, all yours.
First, I just want to thank everybody for being here and all of the folks that put this on. The interest in the city of Newark is great, it's incredible. We appreciate the investment, the partnership, the fellowship, the alliance that we have with all of the folks in the city. But I want people to keep in mind that Newark is not Brooklyn, it is not Jersey City, it is not Hoboken, it is not any of these places, and no shade, no disrespect to any of those places. Newark is Newark, and the reality is we want to build something special, something different here in the city of Newark. We want it to grow. We want our High Line to be beautiful. We want people to come to the city and enjoy our town. We want you to know that there are actually people who live here still and have been here for a long time. And we want you to welcome them into the things that you're doing. And when you're building in the city, keep all of us in mind, not just the new people who could pay your rents.